Hello Zanzi, welcome to another episode of Farmers Inside Track. My name is Duncan Masiwa and I'm your host for this episode. As you can see, we are in a very beautiful setting out in the Bundus in Klerksdorp in the northwest. And I'm about to chat with a phenomenal guy. He is what you call a serial entrepreneur, a jack of all trades, and in this case, a master of everything. He does everything from paving to hardware to cattle, feedlot, everything. Anton, welcome to Farmers Inside Track. It's definitely lovely having this conversation with you outdoors, more specifically.
Thank you, Duncan.
Thank you so much. So I mentioned briefly in your introduction that you seem to be involved in everything. Maybe start from the beginning. Where exactly does your entrepreneurial journey, I suppose, start? We'll get into the cattle feedlotting that you do, of course, but maybe set the scene for us. Where exactly does your entrepreneurial journey start?
Okay, yeah, I wrote matric in 1991 in Johannesburg, Randburg. So I was not one of the guys that was dealt with a golden spoon in the mouth. So I had to work for what I wanted to. So the first business I started, I had a small building company. I just the building renovations. And as I built up, I needed some material to supply myself. I started a hardware store, rented a piece of land, retail material, retail sand. That grown up to quite a big company today out in Krugersdorp. And then later on, as I went along, I bought property that I could rent out on a monthly basis. And that grew. My passion always was farming. So in the process, I bought a small 17-hectare farm where I played around and just learned. The first 10, 15 years of farming, just learning to do the trade properly and to do it right, you know.
Yeah. You mentioned that farming has always been a passion for you, but it wasn't that first choice of business for you. Obviously, you started somewhere in a completely different industry. But what was it about farming? Maybe take us back to that moment specifically. Where are you, where you decide that, actually this is more than a passion. This is something that I want to turn into a business and hopefully make money.
Look, if you love something, you're never going to work one day. So that's the most important thing. If you enjoy farming, you'll never work one day. It will never be a problem for you to stand up and go save a cattle 11 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the right industry, you will enjoy it. So I once I had some cash flow, my business has started to work. That's immediately what I've done. Started actually with a breed lot, not a feed lot, to have cattle.
What's the difference for those that might not?
Listen, short, the breed lot is just to have a cattle walk in a veld breeding, which means you have a bull with the weaners, and you have them having babies. And you multiply in that way.
Yeah.
So a cattle give you every year roughly one baby, and you on a certain age, certain weight, you sell that cattle off at a profit. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The feedlot came later on when I wanted to specialize more. Actually, quite a bit of capital you need to specialize in feedlotting, but that's a different business. But different business from breedlotting. It's some farmers got no passion for a feedlot, and the other farmer got a big passion for a breedlot. You know what I'm saying? So it's really what you have a passion for.
So it's clear that it's quite capital intensive, and there's a lot of farmers that aspire to have their own feedlot. Maybe take us through those beginning steps. What did it look like for you in your journey? Take us through that.
Yeah, you won't believe it. I make a lot of TikTok videos. On my TikTok videos, I always tell the people, don't do certain things. And it's all things I've done. Yeah. So I made the mistakes. And that's why I tell the people, don't make this mistake.
That's what I love about it. These conversations is that you are able to have a conversation with someone that has walked the journey already. And the goal is to learn from the mistakes that you made.
If I can save a guy 10 years of battling by making one 30 minutes video, my heart is happy. Yeah. So I started off actually with 6 Nguni cows. And I breed with them for probably 6 years. I built them up. I later had about 40 of them. just increasing, bought another one, increasing. And in the end, when I learned the meat industry, I realized that the Nguni is actually not what you're supposed to breed to be in the industry. So as you grow and you increase, it's actually hard then to sell that cattle off that you're not supposed to breed with, because you learn to love your cattle. Now you can't breed with him because that's not the ideal meat cattle that you have in your kraal. So then you have to get rid of them and get the right stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the unfortunately a cattle come from a stud, a good stud. The next step is a good breeder. The next step is a good feedlot. So if the stud doesn't do his job right, the breedlot can't do his job right, then the feedlot can't do his job right. And if they all do it right, they can all make money.
Yeah. So it's a whole chain effect.
That's it. Yeah.
The whole chain effect. You know, we mentioned in the beginning that you're quite involved in different industries, from paving to agriculture. I'm wondering, do these different spaces in different business and these different hats that you wear, do they ever compete with each other? Do they ever compete with private energy?
Start with 5-6 companies. You know what I'm saying? You start with one company, you build it up and you make it a success. You put managers in place to run it, where you can start overseeing them with less time that you have to invest in that company. Then you start with another company. Like my feedlot, my one son is running my feedlot. That's his passion as well. So I can make a turn there for an hour a day, sit in my kraal and enjoy the cattle. I'm not so much involved in the daily feeding and daily medication problems anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I changed that. You know what I'm saying? As you build one company and you build another company, you put the right people in place that can wear the hat for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's collaboration at the end of the day. You can't be everywhere simultaneously.
That's it.
Yeah. So financially, are these different enterprises, are they financially dependent on each other, or do they completely exist separately?
When a company starts off, obviously you need cash flow. You know what I'm saying? So you save up. One of the business rules I have, I don't make debt, nothing whatsoever.
Don't make debt.
That's actually a biblical principle. You don't make debt on nothing. You don't buy something if you cannot afford it cash.
Yeah.
So even my cars, my cattle, my trucks, and my whatever I have, every cattle that's in my farm is paid for. You know what I'm saying? So you save up, you buy it cash, then you don't have to pay it twice to the bank. So the bottom line is you build your thing up step by step. When a new company starts off, obviously need some cash injection. So you build it up until it becomes financially independent, and then it goes.
Yeah. There's someone that's listening to this conversation now and they want to get to where you are. They want to set up their own feedlot. Of course, yours is called JA Cattle Feedlot. What are those critical first steps that I, as a farmer, need to be aware of?
Yeah, guys, if someone must get into feedlotting, my advice for him is to start with a breedlot. Do a breedlot for 3 to 5 years. Learn to keep a cattle alive and healthy on the veld. Learn to multiply your cattle on the veld. If you can look after cattle properly on the veld, and they multiply and they stay fat and they stay healthy and you're not in trouble, a feedlot is definitely the next step.
Yeah.
I won't advise anybody to start with a feedlot. A feedlot's a very intensive. It's a thing where there's 60 cattle in one kraal, which means there's 60 different origins, 60 different places where that cattle come from, and that any one of them can bring a sickness to your farm, and which you need to be able to handle quite quickly.
Yeah.
So a feedlot's definitely stage 2. It's not stage 1, to my opinion, to any farmer that want to start off.
Yeah. What are the common mistakes then that new entrants that do get into the feedlotting space? What are some of the common mistakes that you see them make?
There's 1,000 of them. Can I tell you one simple mistake? When I started feedlotting, I had this good recipe, and I heard from this farmer this recipe, and I heard from this farmer this recipe, and I used to put them in the feed, and then I used to scale them on a weekly basis. And I see, okay, they increase so much, and I did the maths, and I say, yeah, that's not good enough. Then I change the recipe. So now put less of this and put more of that. Maybe that guy is not talking the whole truth. And that was the biggest mistake. You don't scale your cattle on a weekly basis. It's very stressful for a cattle to put them through the scaling process. So you scale your cattle on a monthly on a monthly basis to create less stress.
Yeah.
The second mistake, you don't change your recipe every week or every 3 weeks. Some farmers get some maize cheap somewhere, they change the recipe and they start adding maize. And you cannot do that. The recipe you feed your cattle, it's a 90-day recipe. You cannot change the recipe every 2 weeks if you get something cheaper.
Yeah. You mentioned something quite important, which I believe touches on mentorship, especially when you're getting into the industry. You want to get as much information as possible. And I suppose with that as well, there's a negative side to it because you're getting information from this side, you're getting information from that side. What is your advice to someone that is new in the space and might be quite, what's the word? They might be, for them, it's easy to just grab information from person A, B, and C and implement it. What is your advice to someone like that?
Any businessman that's a success today needed a mentor.
Oh.
Okay. To find a mentor, it's simple. You look for someone that got money, someone that's a success in what he's doing, and someone that enjoy what he's doing. So there's many people that go around, he got 4 cattle and he can tell you a lot of advice, but he never been a success. He doesn't have 200 or 300 cattle that he built up from nothing. So it's important to find a mentor that's a success in what he do.
Oh.
You don't lend your ears to anybody. You can listen, but take for yourself what make sure you take the right stuff.
Yeah. So seek out advice from people that are operating on the space that you want to get to and not operating on the same space.
If you want to become a good business entrepreneur, find someone that's good in it and follow him. I always tell my workers, listen to me, everything I say for 3 years. I don't want to hear one story for 3 years. After 3 years, you come to me with your own opinion. For 3 years, I'm just going to teach you what I know, and you apply that, and I'm telling you now, most of that's going to work.
Yeah. Anton, for someone who is managing a feedlot, you've been doing this obviously for a number of years now, a feedlot of 180 cattle strong, I believe. What advice do you have for farmers when it comes to managing a feedlot, especially when you look at cost-effective ways of sort of building your business?
So obviously a farmer that normally start off small. All farmers are not privileged to have 5 million rand behind him. So I started my feedlot I did my first cycle with 10 cattle. In the second cycle, the 10 cattle moved on and I bought another 10 cattle. In the third cycle, the 20 cattle moved on and I started another 10 cattle. So that's the way I built it. I increased it. After 90 days, you sell your first 10 cattle, you make some profit and you buy in 12 cattle. So you increase your numbers as you go along till you're comfortable with your quantity of cattle. You grow your cash flow in the process. So it's not something that you need a lot of cash flow to start off with. You start small. Feedlotting is a micromanagement. It's something that every step of the way you have to do it right. Where breedlotting allow for some mistakes, feedlotting, every mistake you make and it costs you money. You know what I'm saying?
In the conversation that you and I had beforehand, you mentioned something quite profound, was that oftentimes in the farming industry, and I suppose it's in any sector, there is a problem with doing business with honest people. Maybe take us through that. What do you look for in whether it's someone you do business with or it's a partner or it's a collaboration? What do you look for beyond the price and the paperwork?
No.
What does it take for you to trust someone in order to do business with it?
I don't know if you ever heard the story of that Indian guy that told his son to jump off the roof and he fell on the ground. The dad never caught him. And they say, my son, never trust anybody. But as you go along, you learn to trust people. And it's important to be that guy that you like in other people. You know, if you tell a guy, I pay you Saturday, then you pay him Saturday. You don't come with stories on Monday. You be that farmer or the businessman that you want them to
Integrity,
be.
right?
That's it.
Integrity.
I'm telling you now, I can go to most feedlots and buy R1 million of cattle on credit. And I never do it. I don't buy it on credit. But the way I've done business with them in the past is the way they deal with me. If a guy do you bad with business, you don't deal with him anymore. Obviously, if you do business for 30 and 40 years, you get to the point where you got your crowd of people you like you to surround yourself with, and you feel safe with that.
Anton, with your experience comes hard lessons. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you've made that might have costed you money as well? I believe that you often get to know a lot of people, a lot about a person from the challenges that they faced and the mistakes that they've made, but also how they navigated from that. What were some of the biggest mistakes that you've made?
I just said earlier about the way you feed. I think probably the biggest mistake I made in business is to have partners. There's only one guy that feel about you and about your business and about your money the way you feel, and that's yourself. That's the guy that you don't have to blame. You can just blame yourself. You're going to fight for your business to work. So I think partnership is probably my biggest regret in business. Don't do partnerships. Just do something on yourself, work on.
We are able to do it on your own.
That's it.
Rather do it.
Doesn't work. I don't believe in partnerships. I honestly believe work hard and make it a success yourself.
Well, sure. Your advice to someone who's listening to this conversation now, who wants to get into the space, who wants to operate on the scale that you operate, what is your advice to them?
The business point of view that I think I stand is I love what I do. For me, I don't work. Really, I do. I love business. I love selling. I love cattle. To me, if I go to my cattle farm, it's like being on holiday.
Yeah.
It's important when whatever you start, don't start it for money. Start it because you love it. That's the best lesson I can give anybody. If you do cattle farming and it's not your passion, you don't love it, get out of it. Go do something else. Start a tuck shop or something else. Don't do something that you don't love.
Yeah.
If you love it, it will work. I promise you, it will not be a problem for you to work hard.
Yeah. There you have it, Anton Saunderson, a cattle feedlot farmer. If you have passion for it, you will never work a day in your life. That brings us to the end of our podcast episode. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on any of your favorite platforms. Remember that, of course, this video is also available on all our platforms. And remember to also read the story once it is published. From me, Duncan Masiwa, our producer, Megan van der Vent, and the rest of # Team Food from Mzansi. As always, thanks for listening.